Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Detroit Lions versus Green Bay Packers Week 9 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, there will always be some, differences, in terms of how each week kind of shows up. However, there will always be little nuggets of truth that could become bigger nuggets of truth as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you are new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So starting with this game between the Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. When you look at the NFL stat basic comparison data, and basic comparison just looks at how the offense is doing, how the defense is doing, and how the special teams is doing. And that overall data favors the Lions in this game. That overall data. So let's get into some reasons why. So first off, the Lions are better when it comes to turnover ratio. Don't really turn the football over as much as the Packers have, but it is fairly close between these teams. I mean, the difference is about 5 points, give or take. So definitely not the biggest advantage, but definitely a slight advantage. Then, of course, you look at sack percentage, which both these teams are not that great in terms of preventing sacks. 17.32 for the Lions, 14.65 for the Packers. And, again, everybody can make excuses, but, it's just an issue it's just a reality. Both these teams have issues in terms of sacks. We can get into blaming all the stuff about it, but overall, again, both these teams have issues. Then, of course, you look at offensive score percentage. The Packers are actually better in that respect, but it is important to remember that this is the Packers when they had Aaron Rodgers. A lot of this is influencing that, This is basically looking at the team data over the last 8 weeks, not necessarily the team data over the last 3 or 2 weeks, etc., because we're trying to look at a larger sample size. So overall, the offense in general performs well. Now, with Brett Hundley, I mean, it's a little bit more of a toss-up. But I would say that, this is one factor that does slightly favor the Packers just because of the success they've had in the past. Then when you look at defensive offensive score percentage, this is where the Lions are favored. And this is also a big reason why the Lions are favored in this game is because defensively they just have a better defense. They're better in terms of preventing points on defense. Defensive offensive score percentage, there's a very big disparity between both these teams, between the Lions and the Packers in that respect. In terms of creating turnovers, the Lions are better in that respect. In terms of sacks, the Lions are better in that respect. And in terms of interceptions, creating interceptions, Lions are better in that respect. So defensively speaking, the Lions are pretty heavily favored here, at least by a sizable margin because of their defense and because their offense does just enough to get it done, and they don't have as many issues in terms of the turnovers and the other sort of factors. Now when you get to special teams data, so looking at things like punt return yardage, kick return yardage, defensive punt return, and defensive kick return yardage, when you look at that data, the Lions are favored in terms of kick return yardage. The Packers are favored in terms of, the Lions are favored in terms of punt return yardage, but the Packers are favored in terms of kick return yardage. Defensive punt return yardage is with the Packers. Defensive kick return yardage is with the Lions. Field goal percentage is more so with the Lions, but it is pretty even between both these teams in terms of field goal percentage. Extra point percentage is also more so with the Lions, and punting average is more so with the Packers. But overall, I would give the special teams advantage to the Lions. They have that better extra point percentage, better field goal percentage. Kind of a toss-up between the offensive and defensive yardage on special teams. But I do think that because of the field goal percentage and because of the extra point percentage, I think that gives the Lions a little bit of a slight leg up against the Packers in that respect. But again, the overall data favors the Lions, mainly because of their defense. That's a big factor. And their offense is good enough to get the job done and have success. So now let's get into some other sort of matchups. So looking at things like completion percentage data, rushing data, passing data, etc. When you look at completion percentage data, this is the Lions offense versus the Packers defense. The Lions are favored here. in that respect. Again, kind of showing some of the issues and inefficiencies with this Packers defense. Then, of course, you look at the Packers offense versus Lions defense in terms of completion percentage. And in this respect, it's actually pretty evenly matched between these two on second and third down. But it is important to note that this is also based on largely, a lot of stuff that Aaron Rodgers did. Brett Hundley, we'll still see what happens, but this definitely kind of goes more so in favor of the Lions in that respect. Or at least I should say more of a evenness between these two teams in terms of that. Now, when you get to rushing down, so this is the Lions rushing offense versus Packers rushing defense, and the Packers are favored here, mainly because of how poor the Lions rushing offense is. They're not very successful in terms of first down, second down, or third down situations in terms of the rush, and this is not that great. Not the best balance, I should say, with this. So this is definitely a factor that is worrisome because of all those other sort of issues. Then, of course, when you look at rushing downs for the Packers versus the Lions in terms of this particular situation, and the Packers are favored here in terms of first down situations, second down situations, and third down situations. This is one area of the Packers I think they should highlight a little bit more, is their ability to get first downs with the run in those various situations. But again, overall, I would say the Packers are favored in terms of rushing downs. Then you look at passing downs, Lions passing offense versus Packers passing defense, and the Lions are favored here in terms of second down situations and third down situations. This isn't to say that the Lions passing offense is incredibly efficient or is amazing, but they are that much better than the Packers defense. The Packers defense has just not been able to really shut teams down that much in terms of their passing defense. They definitely create turnovers. They do things like that. But I should say about the Packers, excuse me. At least some turnovers. But I do think that it's still an issue, and I think the Lions will have success because of those factors. And then, of course, you look at the Packers offense versus Lions defense in terms of the ability to create first downs at various downs and distances, and the Lions are favored on first and second down in that respect. Third down disparity, but a lot of that third down is because of Aaron Rodgers, who, of course, is no longer the starting quarterback because of injury. So I think, Brett Hundley is more of a mystery at this point because I don't have a large enough sample size yet to really get a good feel for Brett Hundley. So I just have to kind of keep going back to kind of the similar sort of patterns, I guess. Then, of course, you look at sack rate for the Lions versus the Packers. In terms of sack rate, the Packers are favored here in terms of first down and third down situations. The Lions just don't really have that much success stopping sacks. So I do think the Packers will have success in terms of getting sacks against the Lions. Then, of course, you look at the Packers offense versus the Lions defense in terms of sacks. And the Lions are favored in terms of first down situations and third down situations. The Packers are another team that is just not that great in terms of sacks. And I think it will, I think it will show up. I think the Lions defense might have a couple good successes here and there because of that factor. Now, of course, you look at interception ratio. Lions offense versus Packers defense. Lions are favored here, but big down and distance to follow second down situations. The Lions are the worst offense in terms of giving up interceptions on second down compared to the rest of the NFL. And the Packers usually get interceptions in that down and distance. So that is going to be the one down and distance that I think you might see some exploitation here and there. For whatever reason, because of this, I think that definitely be an area to kind of keep track of because of that. And then, of course, you look at the Packers offense versus Lions defense in terms of interceptions, and the Lions are favored here in terms of first and second down and third down even. And, they're going up against Brett Hundley, who, of course, is not exactly Aaron Rodgers, so who's had his own fair share of interceptions. So this definitely is going to have a big impact in this game if the Lions are able to get picks, because a lot of reasons, most of the time when they get wins on the Lions, it's because of, interceptions, turnovers, that kind of thing. So if that happens in this game, if Brett Hundley, throws a lot of picks, then I think this definitely will factor into things. So ultimately, how do I feel about this game? Well, I think it's a Lions victory. I think that even though the offense of the Lions is not exactly as good as the Packers, and as much as I do really like the Packers rushing offense, I think there's a lot of potential with Aaron Jones and that rushing offense. I still don't know about Brett Hundley. I'm still a little wishy-washy about him. And we'll see what happens. This could be a coming out game. We don't know. But ultimately, I just think the Lions just have enough stuff in their favor to kind of factor it in this game. The only thing that the Packers really have in their advantage is that this is at Lambeau, so it's a home game. So I think that could factor into things. That could kind of sway things. And as I kind of showed you in the data, there are a couple areas where the Packers could exploit things. We know that the Lions have issues in terms of sacks. We know that the Lions don't really have the most efficient offense. And because of that, I think that there are some things that could swing into the Packers' favor if Brett Hundley can play a lot better than he has. If that isn't the case, then I think that this could be kind of a disaster game. But ultimately, that's why I have to go. Lions here. And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Jimmetrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.